Commander Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, her knuckles white as she gripped the tactical console. Through the view screen, Jupiter's swirling storms provided a majestic backdrop to humanity's final stand, perhaps the last time human eyes would witness the gas giant's beauty. "Status report," Reyes demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around her. Lieutenant Hariri looked up from his console, face illuminated by flashing red emergency lights. "Shields at 14%. The Axoni have disabled the Constellation and the Artemis. The civilian fleet is taking heavy losses." A violent shudder ran through the ship as another energy lance pierced their defenses. Somewhere below decks, Reyes heard the unmistakable sound of hull breach alarms. "Casualties?" she asked, already dreading the answer. 37 confirmed dead, 62 injured. Tech 7 is completely gone. Reyes closed her eyes for a moment, allowing herself one breath of grief before snapping back to the present crisis. The Axoni fleet moved with unnatural precision, hundreds of ships functioning as one organism, their formation shifting with mathematical perfection to counter every human tactic. "Commander," called out Communications Officer Chen, her fingers dancing across her console, "we're receiving a transmission from the Galileo." Reyes frowned. The Galileo was a science vessel, not a warship. It shouldn't even be in the battle zone. "Put it through." The view screen flickered to show Dr. Marcus Way, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead. Behind him, fires raged and crew members scrambled to contain the damage. "Commander Reyes," Way's voice crackled through static, "we've found something. The Axoni ships. They're linked through quantum entanglement networks. That's how they maintain perfect coordination." Another blast rocked the Defiant, and Reyes grabbed the console to keep her footing. "That's fascinating, Doctor, but how does it help us? We're being slaughtered out here." Way's image flickered as the Galileo took another hit. "Our quantum communications array, the prototype we've been testing. It operates on similar principles. I think we can modify it to generate a cascading disruption field." For the first time in days, Reyes felt a spark of hope. The quantum array was experimental technology, deemed too unstable by most civilizations. Only humans have been reckless enough, or desperate enough, to continue its development. "How long do you need?" 20 minutes, maybe 30 if. Way's transmission cut out as a massive explosion erupted from the Galileo's port side. "Get that ship back online," Reyes ordered, then turned to her tactical officer. "Lieutenant Kosa, I need you to draw the Axoni's attention. Concentrate all fire on their flagship." Kosa's eyes widened. "Ma'am, our weapons barely scratch their shields." "I know, but we don't need to destroy them, just distract them." As the bridge crew scrambled to execute her orders, Reyes opened a channel to all remaining human vessels. "This is Commander Reyes to all ships. Form up on the Defiant. We're making our stand here." Private messages flooded her console, captains asking for clarification, pointing out the suicidal nature of her order. Reyes ignored them all. Instead, she watched as the ragtag human fleet, once the pride of Earth's defense forces, now reduced to limping wrecks, moved into formation around her ship. When the Axoni communication channel opened, Reyes wasn't surprised. The aliens had done this before, offering surrender terms before delivering the final blow. The Axoni commander appeared on screen, his insectoid features arranged in what humans had learned was an expression of contempt. "Your species continues to disappoint, Commander Reyes," the alien said, mandibles clicking. "Surrender now, and we will preserve a breeding population of humans for study." Reyes smiled coldly. "Counterproposal. You turn your fleet around and leave our solar system, and we won't have to show you what humans are truly capable of when backed into a corner." The Axoni commander's compound eyes flashed with what might have been amusement. "You have nothing left to fight with, human." "That's where you're wrong," Reyes replied. "We still have our ingenuity." As if on cue, the Galileo's signal returned to her private channel. Wei's voice came through, weak but determined. "Commander, we're ready. But there's a problem. We need to be closer to the center of their formation for maximum effect." Reyes nodded grimly. "Understood, Doctor. Prepare to receive new coordinates." She rose from her chair, surveying her bridge crew, perhaps for the last time. "Well then," she said quietly, "let's show these bugs what humans do best." Dr. Marcus Wei clutched his side as blood seeped between his fingers. The emergency shuttle's cabin lights flickered, casting erratic shadows across his makeshift workstation. Around him, the Galileo's surviving science team worked frantically to modify the quantum communications array. "Structural integrity at 27%, announced Lieutenant Park from the pilot's seat. "That last hit nearly took us out." Wei didn't look up from his work. "Just keep us close enough to the Axoni formation without getting vaporized." The shuttle shuddered violently as it maneuvered through the debris field of destroyed human vessels. Through the viewport, Wei could see the Defiant drawing enemy fire, its shields flaring brilliantly before failing section by section. "They won't last much longer," muttered Dr. Abernathy, her hands trembling as she calibrated a phase modulator. Wei's vision blurred momentarily as pain lanced through his abdomen. The piece of shrapnel embedded there had narrowly missed his vital organs, but he was losing blood faster than the emergency med patch could compensate for. "Oxygen levels at 62% and dropping," Park reported. "Hull breach in the engine compartment isn't fully sealed." "We don't need much time," Wei replied through gritted teeth. "Just enough to finish the calibration sequence." On his diagnostic screen, the quantum array's status indicators flickered between red and amber. The technology had never been tested under combat conditions. The theoretical models suggested it might work, but equally possible was that it would tear their own shuttle apart at the subatomic level. Wei's comm unit crackled. "Dr. Wei, this is Commander Reyes. Status report." He tapped his earpiece. "Almost there, Commander. The calibration is tricky. We're trying to match our disruption frequency to the exact phase variance of their quantum network. Make it quick, Doctor. We're running out of ships." As if to emphasize her point, a massive explosion lit up the battle zone as another human cruiser succumbed to the Axoni onslaught. The shuttle rocked from the shockwave. "Incoming," Park shouted. 3 Axoni interceptors on approach vector. Wei looked up from his work to see the sleek, predatory shapes of Axoni fighters breaking from the main formation, their weapons systems charging. "Evasive maneuvers," he ordered. "If I change course now, we'll lose optimal position for the disruption field," Park countered. Abernathy's eyes widened. "Without perfect positioning, the effect will be minimal." Wei made a split-second decision. "Hold position. Continue calibration. They'll be in firing range in 20 seconds. The quantum array hummed as it approached full power, its components glowing with an eerie blue light. Wei's fingers flew across the control interface, making minute adjustments as the targeting computer tracked the complex web of quantum communications between the Axoni vessels. 15 seconds to intercept. Wei felt a strange calm descend over him. "Route emergency power to the array. Everything we've got." "That'll leave us with no shields and minimal life support," Park protested. "We're dead anyway if this doesn't work," Wei replied. "Do it." The cabin lights dimmed as power was diverted to the array. Wei's diagnostic screen showed the calibration sequence at 97% completion. 10 seconds. The Axoni interceptors loomed larger in the viewport, their weapon ports glowing with charged energy. "Doctor," Abernathy whispered, fear evident in her voice, "if we survive this, the quantum backlash will likely fry our neural pathways. We could all end up brain damage." Wei nodded grimly. "Small price to pay if it saves the fleet." The calibration sequence reached 99%. 5 seconds to intercept. Wei placed his bloodied hand on the activation switch. For Earth. The quantum array reached full calibration, and Wei threw the switch. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then a wave of distortion. visible only as a subtle ripple in the fabric of space, emanated from the shuttle. When it reached the approaching Axoni interceptors, the effect was immediate and catastrophic. The perfectly coordinated alien ships suddenly jerked in different directions, their synchronized attack pattern dissolving into chaos. One fighter collided with another, both erupting into balls of flame. The distortion wave expanded outward, reaching the main Axoni fleet. Ship after ship lost formation, weapons firing randomly into space or at their own allies. Dozens of vessels collided, unable to coordinate their movements without their quantum network. Wei slumped back in his seat, a smile forming on his blood-flecked lips as darkness crept into the edges of his vision. It worked, he murmured as consciousness began to fade. It actually worked. Commander Rise watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction as the Axoni fleet descended into chaos. Wei's gambit had worked beyond all expectations, for now. "Status of the Galileo shuttle," she demanded. Communications Officer Chen shook her head. "Minimal life signs, Commander. Their power systems are offline." Rise clenched her jaw. "Mark their position. We'll retrieve them if we can." She turned to Hariri. "How long until the Axoni regroup?" "Hard to say," he replied, studying the sensor readings. "Their ships are operating independently now, but they're already adapting. I'd estimate 30 minutes, maybe less. It wasn't enough time to win, but it might be enough to save what remained of humanity." Rise opened a fleet-wide channel. "This is Commander Rise to all vessels. Commence Operation Diaspora. I repeat, commence Operation Diaspora." Across the fleet, captains received their pre-assigned coordinates, destinations kept off official records, planets scouted in secret over the past decade as potential evacuation sites. Each ship carried a carefully selected complement of civilians, soldiers, and experts from various fields, everything needed to establish a viable colony. "Communications, begin transmitting the quantum disruptor schematics to all vessels," Rise ordered. "Encrypted channels only." Lieutenant Commander Zhang, her chief of security, approached. "Ma'am, evacuation shuttles are ready. The last of the crew is boarding now." Rise nodded but didn't move from her station. Zhang hesitated. "Commander, your shuttle is waiting." "I won't be joining you, Zhang." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The remaining officers exchanged glances. "With respect, Commander," Hariri said quietly, "someone needs to coordinate the scattered colonies. Someone they trust." "That someone is you, Lieutenant," Rise replied, entering commands into her console. "I'm transferring all command codes and protocols to you now." "Commander." "That's an order, Hariri." Her voice softened. "Someone needs to stay behind and make sure everyone else gets away clean." Around them, the Defiant groaned as its structural integrity continued to fail. Through the view screen, they could see the first evacuation ships already jumping to light speed, disappearing one by one into the void. "The rest of you, get to your evacuation points," Rise ordered. "I need 2 minutes to set the autopilot." No one moved. That wasn't her request. Slowly, reluctantly, the bridge crew began to file out. Hariri was the last to leave, pausing at the doorway. "It's been an honor, Commander." Rise allowed herself a small smile. "The honor was mine, Jamal. Now go, build something worth fighting for." When she was alone, Rise transferred all remaining power to the engines and weapon systems. Life support could be sacrificed. She wouldn't need it for long. The Defiant sensors showed the Axoni beginning to re-establish formation, their ships gradually realigning. She opened a channel to the largest Axoni vessel, presumably their command ship. "This is Commander Elena Rise of Earth. I'd like to discuss surrender terms." The view screen flickered to life, showing the Axoni commander. Its compound eyes seemed to study her with newfound caution. "Your tactics were unexpected," it admitted. "Perhaps we have underestimated your species." "A common mistake," Rise replied. "I'm prepared to offer you coordinates for our evacuation fleet in exchange for my crew's safety." The aliens' mandibles clicked. What passed for laughter in their species? You have no leverage, Commander. We will find your scattered ships eventually. Perhaps. Rice checked her tactical display. The last human vessel had jumped to safety. But not today. With a swift motion, she engaged the Defiant's engines at maximum thrust, plotting a collision course with the Axoni command ship. Alarms blared as the damaged engines strained beyond safety parameters. What are you doing? The Axoni commander demanded, mandibles flaring in alarm. Showing you what humans are willing to sacrifice, Rice answered calmly, overriding the final safety protocols. We don't fear death like you do. We embrace it when necessary. As the Defiant accelerated toward the Axoni fleet, Rice thought of Earth, of blue skies and ocean waves, of mountain ranges and bustling cities, of everything humanity had built and lost, of everything they might yet become. The Axoni commander barked orders to its fleet, but in their disorganized state, they couldn't react quickly enough. The Defiant's trajectory carried it straight into the heart of the regrouping alien formation. For Earth, Rice whispered as her ship collided with the Axoni command vessel in a blinding flash of light. The explosion cascaded through the tightly packed Axoni ships, destroying dozens and damaging many more. By the time the chaos subsided, the last human transport had vanished beyond tracking range. Humanity had escaped, scattered like seeds among the stars, but still alive. Lieutenant Jamal Hariri, now Commander Hariri by necessity, stood in the underground command center on Tempest, listening to the constant howl of the surface storms. 5 years had passed since the Battle of Jupiter. 5 years of hiding, surviving, and waiting. The reinforced cavern walls were lined with salvaged equipment, screens displaying data from the scattered human settlements across 24 worlds. Another colony gone, reported Captain Maya Chen, formerly his communications officer on the Defiant. Her face had grown gaunt over the years, eyes perpetually shadowed from lack of sleep. New anchorage. The Axoni left nothing. Hariri closed his eyes briefly. Survivors. Unknown. No quantum transmissions received. Another 3,000 humans gone. Hariri made a mental note to adjust the population tally again. Now barely 50,000 humans remained from a species that once numbered in the billions. Any pattern to their search? He asked. Chen shook her head. They're being methodical, sector by sector, but they're getting closer to our primary settlements. A young woman approached, barely more than a teenager. Asha, born 2 months after the evacuation, had never known Earth, had never seen a real sky, felt natural gravity, or experienced a world not defined by fear. Commander, she said, her voice steady despite her youth, the cultivation team needs approval for additional power allocation. The deep fungi aren't growing as expected in the new caverns. Hariri nodded. Tell them to take what they need from non-essential systems. Food comes first. As Asha left, Dr. Wei entered the command center. The scientist moved with a slight limp, and the left side of his face remained partially paralyzed. Permanent reminders of his injuries during the Jupiter battle and the neural damage from quantum backlash. Nevertheless, his mind remained as sharp as ever. I have something you need to see, Wei said without preamble. Hariri followed him to a side chamber where a makeshift laboratory had been established. Inside, something pulsed with an eerie blue glow beneath a containment field. Is that what I think it is? Hariri asked. Wei nodded. A piece of Axoni quantum communication technology. Our scouts recovered it from a downed patrol ship in the Arcturus sector. Can we use it? Better. Wei's damaged face formed a lopsided smile. We can track it. Every piece of their technology maintains a quantum link to their central network. That's how they update their tactical databases. If we can isolate the signature, we could potentially track their fleet movements. Hariri finished, feeling a spark of hope for the first time in months. Exactly. But there's more. We gestured to a cluster of native plants growing in a sealed chamber. The research team on Viridian has been experimenting with the local flora. These plants naturally absorb and redirect electromagnetic signals, evolved to communicate with each other through the dense jungle canopy. Hariri studied the strange, luminescent plants. What are you suggesting? We've successfully grafted human DNA into their cellular structure. The resulting hybrid can be programmed to absorb specific frequencies, including those used by Exoni sensors, a biological cloaking device. Hariri whispered, understanding dawning. We nodded. Still experimental, but promising. If we can distribute the spores to our remaining colonies. A klaxon cut through their conversation. Hariri rushed back to the command center, where chaos had erupted. Axoni signatures detected in the upper atmosphere, Chen reported, her fingers flying across the console. 3 patrol ships, standard search pattern. How did they find us? Hariri demanded. Unknown, sir, but our outer sensors indicate they haven't deployed landing craft yet. They may not have pinpointed our exact location. Hariri made a split-second decision. Initiate blackout protocols. All power systems shut down except life support and minimal communications. No signals in or out. Throughout the underground complex, lights dimmed as the human settlement went dark. Families huddled together in communal shelters as emergency protocols engage. Children who had never known peace grew silent with practiced efficiency. In the command center, illuminated only by emergency lighting, Hariri studied the atmospheric scans. The Axoni ships maintained their search pattern, sweeping the storm-racked surface with sensor beams. They're focusing on the northern continent, Chen whispered. We have 3 smaller outposts there. Hariri's jaw tightened. Are the outposts following blackout protocols? Yes, but Chen hesitated. Outpost 2 had been testing the new communication array. If they didn't power down in time, a red dot blinked on the tactical display. They found Outpost 2, Chen confirmed, her voice hollow. Hariri watched helplessly as the Axoni ships converged on the smaller settlement. There would be no rescue, no evacuation. They could only wait and hope that the sacrifice of those few hundred humans would save the thousands hiding beneath Tempest's surface. Record their names, Hariri said quietly. All of them. When this is over, when we're free again, everyone will know what they gave for humanity's survival. Above them, the eternal storms of Tempest raged on, obscuring the unfolding tragedy from view, but not from memory. Captain Lena Novak wiped grime from her face as she studied the mineral deposits in the asteroid's core. The mining outpost in the Ta Ceti system had been operational for just under a year, one of the smaller human settlements established after the diaspora. With only 43 people, it barely qualified as a colony, but the rich mineral veins made it valuable for the scattered human resistance. Captain, you need to see this, called Technician Rivera, his voice echoing through the excavated chamber. Sensor anomaly in Tunnel 7. Novak frowned. Axoni? Don't think so. Pattern doesn't match their signatures. She followed Rivera through the winding passageways, the mining exoskeleton amplifying her movements as they descended deeper into the asteroid. The outpost's limited security force, 5 people with outdated weapons, fell into formation behind them. Tunnel 7 had been newly excavated, the rock walls still bearing the scorch marks from plasma drills. At its end, Rivera pointed to a strange discoloration on the far wall, a faint luminescence that pulsed with an irregular rhythm. We picked it up on thermal imaging first, Rivera explained. Whatever it is, it's generating heat, and it wasn't there yesterday. Novak approached cautiously, her hand resting on her sidearm. As she drew closer, the luminescence intensified, the wall itself seeming to ripple like liquid. Everyone back, she ordered, raising her weapon. Defense perimeter. Now. Before her security team could comply, the wall collapsed inward, revealing not solid rock, but a previously undetected cavity. Inside, illuminated by an ethereal blue-green light, stood 3 of the strangest beings Novak had ever seen. They were tall and slender, with translucent skin that revealed pulsing internal organs. Their limbs were elongated, ending in seven-fingered hands, and their large, pupil-less eyes regarded the humans with an expression Novak couldn't interpret. "Holy shit," whispered Rivera beside her. One of the creatures stepped forward, raising a hand in what appeared to be a gesture of peace. Its skin rippled with patterns of light that moved in complex sequences. "Weapons ready," Novak commanded, "but hold fire." The creature tilted its head, then produced a small device from within the folds of its diaphanous garment. It manipulated the device with its long fingers, and a holographic display appeared between the two groups. Images flickered rapidly. Star maps, spacecraft, battle scenes. Novak recognized an Axoni cruiser, then footage of what appeared to be these same crystalline beings fleeing from Axoni forces. "They're refugees," she realized aloud. "Like us." The alien nodded eagerly, its skin flashing with brighter patterns. "Can you understand me?" Novak asked carefully. The alien manipulated its device again. A mechanical voice emerged, the translation crude but understandable. "Hiding. From common enemy. Detected your mining. Approached with caution." Novak lowered her weapon slightly. "You're hiding from the Axoni?" "Yes. Nithari once controlled 12 systems. Now scattered. Hunted. Like you." Over the next hours, through the rudimentary translator, Novak learned that the Nithari had established their own hidden outpost in another section of the asteroid belt months earlier. They had detected the human mining operation but remained hidden, uncertain whether to risk contact. "Why now?" Novak asked. "Why reveal yourselves today?" The lead Nithari, who called itself Celerin, gestured toward the tunnel entrance. "Axoni scout ship detected. Approaching this asteroid cluster. We'll find both our settlements if we do not act." Novak felt ice in her veins. Their outpost had minimal defenses, certainly nothing capable of repelling even a single Axoni scout vessel. "How long do we have?" "Hours only." Novak made a rapid decision. "Then we need to evacuate immediately. We have 2 transport ships." Celerin interrupted with a ripple of light patterns that the translator didn't catch. "Then, no escape possible. Scout will detect engine signatures. Then what do you suggest?" Novak demanded, frustration edging into her voice. "Fight, together." The Nithari produced another device, organic-looking, with components that seemed to pulse with life. "We have biotechnology. You have mechanical knowledge. Combined, perhaps chance exists." Novak hesitated only briefly. "Rivera, get Dr. Chen here immediately. And I want every engineer and weapons specialist we have in the main chamber in 5 minutes." What followed was the strangest collaboration in human history. The Nithari revealed their sophisticated biotechnology. Living circuits, organisms that could absorb and redirect energy, bioengineered sensory systems more advanced than anything humans had developed. Meanwhile, the human engineers demonstrated their mechanical ingenuity, jury-rigging mining equipment into makeshift weapons and defense systems. Dr. Chen, the outpost's chief scientist, worked feverishly alongside Celerin, combining Nithari biological countermeasures with human signal processing techniques. "Their biotech can absorb electromagnetic radiation," Chen explained excitedly as she modified a communications array. "If we can tune it to the specific frequencies used by Axoni sensors, we could blind them," Novak finished. "How quickly can you make it operational?" "With their help, maybe 2 hours." Novak checked the chronometer. "You have 90 minutes." Outside the asteroid, a sleek Axoni scout ship entered the system, its sensors sweeping methodically through the belt. Inside the mining outpost, humans and Nithari worked with desperate speed, their initial distrust giving way to grudging respect as each recognized the other's unique capabilities. When the Axoni ship finally approached their asteroid, both species held their breath. The combined human Nithari countermeasure activated, Nith-Eri organisms absorbing the Axoni sensor sweeps, while modified mining lasers stood ready to fire from concealed positions. For a terrible moment, it seemed their efforts had failed. The Axoni ship paused, hovering near the asteroid's surface, its weapons systems charging. Then, unexpectedly, it changed course, moving away to search elsewhere. The collective relief was palpable, but short-lived. As the scout ship investigated a nearby asteroid, its sensors detected something that drew its immediate attention. It circled back, weapons systems fully charged. "They found us," Rivera reported grimly. "No," Celerin corrected, the translator conveying the words with mechanical flatness. "They found an empty mining shaft we prepared. A decoy." As the Axoni ship approached the decoy site, the trap was sprung. Concealed mining charges detonated, sending chunks of asteroid hurtling toward the scout ship. Simultaneously, the jury-rigged mining lasers opened fire from multiple angles, their beams amplified by Nith-Eri biological lenses. The Axoni ship's shields held initially, but the continuous barrage from unexpected directions overwhelmed them. When the vessel attempted to retreat, a final surprise awaited. A cloud of microscopic Nith-Eri organisms that had attached themselves to the hull, disrupting the ship's navigation systems. The scout crashed into the asteroid's surface, its hull breached but largely intact. "We did it," Chen whispered in disbelief. "No," Novik corrected, already moving toward the airlock. "We've only started. Get a team together. We need to secure that ship before they can send a distress signal." The boarding party, humans in mining exoskeletons alongside Nith-Eri with their biological adaptations, breached the downed Axoni vessel within minutes. The brief but intense firefight ended with the Axoni crew neutralized and the ship's communication systems disabled. As the humans began to salvage technology and weapons from the captured vessel, Celerin approached Novik. "This," the Nith-Eri gestured to the ship, "is only beginning. Together, our peoples have strengths the Axoni cannot anticipate." Novik nodded slowly. "I need to contact our command. They need to know about this alliance. And about the ship we've captured." Within days, the news spread through the quantum network connecting the scattered human colonies. A single mining outpost had accomplished what no human settlement had managed before. They had not only defeated an Axoni scout ship, but captured it intact, providing invaluable intelligence and technology. More importantly, they had found allies in their fight for survival. The Nith-Eri, with their advanced biotechnology, complemented human mechanical ingenuity perfectly. Where humans were robust and adaptable, the Nith-Eri were specialized and precise. Together, they represented something the Axoni had never encountered, a resistance that combined the strengths of multiple species. As Commander Hariri received the report on Tempest, he felt something he hadn't experienced in years: genuine hope. "Prepare a secure transport," he ordered Captain Chen. "I want our best scientists and engineers at that mining outpost immediately." "Including Dr. Wei?" Chen asked. Hariri nodded. "Especially Wei. If anyone can make the most of this opportunity, it's him." As preparations began for what would become the foundation of the interspecies rebellion, Hariri allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. Perhaps Commander Reyes had been right all those years ago. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or even their resilience. It was their ability to forge connections, to find common ground with those who seemed utterly alien. For the first time since the fall of Earth, the scattered seeds of humanity had found fertile soil in which to grow. Dr. Marcus Wei ran his fingers over the captured Axoni shield generator, feeling the subtle vibrations beneath its metallic surface. 8 years had passed since the Battle of Jupiter. 3 since the alliance with the Nith-Eri had given humanity a fighting chance at survival. In his makeshift laboratory carved into the heart of an asteroid, Wei had spent countless hours studying the alien technology. "You've been staring at that thing for 3 days straight," remarked Nith-Eri scientist Selmira, her translucent fingers adjusting the holographic display floating between them. Even for a human, That seems excessive. Wei offered a lopsided smile, the paralyzed side of his face barely moving. I'm missing something obvious. I can feel it. The laboratory was a testament to the unlikely partnership between humans and Nithari, human industrial equipment alongside the organically grown Nithari computing nodes. The fragile, almost ethereal Nithari moved with deliberate grace around the more robust human researchers. Play the recording again, Wei requested, leaning forward. The holographic display flickered, showing an Axoni cruiser during a recent skirmish. The ship's shields flared brilliantly as they absorbed weapons fire, the energy dissipating in precise, geometric patterns. Stop, Wei commanded suddenly. There, replay that section at 1/10 speed. The image slowed, showing the shield harmonics in exquisite detail. Wei's eyes narrowed as he noticed something he'd missed before, a subtle fluctuation in the shield's resonance pattern. What is it? Selmira asked, her large, pupilless eyes blinking with interest. They're shields, Wei murmured. They're tuned to specific harmonic frequencies. Like an instrument. He reached for a small metal container on his workbench. An old coffee tin, one of the few personal items he'd managed to salvage from the Galileo. Wei tapped it rhythmically, listening to the hollow metallic sound. Selmira, analyze this frequency pattern, he said, continuing to tap the container in various spots. The Nithari adjusted her sensors, her long fingers moving with practiced precision. Converting to spectral analysis now. Wei set down the container and grabbed a small hammer used for delicate repairs. He struck a metal panel, creating a different tone. And this one. As Selmira compiled the data, Wei's excitement grew. Now overlay those frequencies with the Axoni shield harmonics. The holographic display shifted, showing waveform patterns merging together. In several places, the human-generated sounds created destructive interference patterns with the Axoni shield frequencies. By all the ancestors, Selmira whispered, using the Nithari expression of awe. They're vulnerable to acoustic disruption. Wei laughed. A sound rarely heard in human settlements since the fall of Earth. Not just any acoustic disruption. Specific frequencies that can be produced by human percussion instruments. He hobbled to a storage unit and retrieved a small metal dish, part of a disassembled cooking set. Striking it with a hammer, he produced a clear, ringing tone. The Axoni developed their shield technology based on natural harmonic principles, Wei explained, his voice growing animated. But they've never encountered human music. Our percussion instruments produce frequency combinations that can create destructive interference patterns in their shield matrix. Selmira's skin rippled with the blue patterns that indicated excitement in her species. We could modify our quantum disruptors to broadcast these frequencies. Exactly, Wei agreed. But better yet, we don't need complex technology to generate these sounds. A simple drum, properly tuned, could do it. He quickly assembled a makeshift drum from spare parts, stretching a polymer membrane over a circular frame. With trembling hands, he tapped out a rhythm, watching the frequency analyzer. We need to inform Commander Hariri immediately, Selmira said. We nodded, already imagining the possibilities. The Axoni won't know what hit them. How do you defend against an attack you can't comprehend? Days later, Wei's theory faced its first real test. The human settlement on Elysium, a rocky moon orbiting a gas giant, detected an approaching Axoni patrol. With no time for evacuation, they deployed Wei's improvised sonic disruptors, little more than modified drums and metal objects connected to amplifiers. From his command center, Wei monitored the situation via quantum communicator, his heart pounding as he watched the Axoni ships descend toward the settlement. Activate the disruptors, he ordered. The settlers initiated the sonic attack, broadcasting the carefully tuned frequencies toward the approaching Axoni vessels. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, incredulously, they watched as the Axoni shields flickered and failed. The aliens, clearly confused by the unexpected defense, broke off their attack and retreated. When the news reached other human settlements, Hope spread like wildfire. Across the scattered colonies, people began manufacturing sonic weapons disguised as musical instruments. The Nithari, with their advanced biotechnology, developed organisms that could generate the same disruptive frequencies. In the years that followed, the Axoni would come to fear the sound of human music, retreating at the first notes of what they came to call the death song. What they never understood was that the same frequencies that destroyed their shields had once filled human concert halls and homes, the sounds of celebration, of life, of resilience. The tables had begun to turn. The hunted were becoming the hunters. Commander Hariri stood before the assembled representatives of the rebellion, his scarred face illuminated by the holographic display, showing their scattered forces across the galaxy. The command center on Tempest had expanded over the years, becoming the heart of humanity's resistance movement. Operation Thunderclap enters its final phase, Hariri announced, his voice carrying the weight of authority earned through countless battles. The liberation of Procyon IV last month marked our 10th consecutive victory. The Axoni are retreating across multiple sectors. Around the table stood not just humans but representatives from 7 alien species, the Nithari, luminescent and graceful, the massive rhinoceros-like Krell, the insectoid Tirachi, and others, each with their own reasons to hate the Axoni Imperium. The Axoni Central Command has deployed 3 additional battle groups to the Arcturus sector, reported Kvex, the Tirachi representative, her mandibles clicking rapidly. They appear to be reinforcing their position around the water world of Hydra. Hydra, Hariri repeated thoughtfully. Home to the Marisk, if I'm not mistaken. The holographic display shifted to show an oceanic planet with small scattered islands. Intelligence reports scrolled alongside the image, detailing Axoni occupation forces and defensive capabilities. The Marisk were among the first species conquered by the Axoni, Selmira of the Nithari explained. Their sonic abilities make them valuable slaves. The Axoni used them for long-range communications and shield harmonization. Hariri's eyes narrowed. Sonic abilities, similar to our disruption technology. Far more sophisticated, Wei interjected, limping forward to join the conversation. Based on the limited data we have, the Marisk can naturally generate and manipulate sound waves with extreme precision. In water, their songs can travel for hundreds of kilometers. Captain Asha, no longer the child born after Earth's fall, but a battle-hardened officer, stepped forward. If we could liberate them, their abilities would complement our sonic disruptors perfectly. Wei finished. Hariri considered the possibility, studying the holographic representation of Hydra's defenses. The Axoni occupation force was substantial, 3 times larger than anything the rebellion had faced before. It's too heavily defended, Kvex objected. A direct assault would be suicide. Which is why we won't attack directly, Hariri replied, a plan already forming in his mind. The Axoni expect us to behave like Axoni, to follow strategic logic and attack only when we have superior forces. He manipulated the holographic display, highlighting a smaller planet in the same system. We'll attack here, on Hydra's moon. It's a minor mining outpost, barely defended. The Axoni will assume it's a simple raid for resources. A diversion, Captain Chen noted with approval. Exactly, Hariri confirmed. While their reinforcements rush to protect the mining outpost, a small team will infiltrate Hydra itself, not to attack the Axoni, but to make contact with the Marisk. The assembled representatives murmured among themselves, considering the audacious plan. Who will lead this infiltration? Asked Selmira. I will, Hariri stated simply. This mission is too important to delegate. The meeting continued for hours, with each detail of Operation Thunderclap examined and refined. When it concluded, Hariri found himself alone with Wei and Asha, the 3 of them studying the holographic representation of Hydra. You're taking an enormous risk, Wei said quietly. If the Axoni capture you, Hariri shrugged. Risk is all we have left. Besides, I've been fighting so long I've forgotten what peace feels like. You haven't forgotten, Asha said. You fight so hard because you remember exactly what we lost." Hariri's expression softened. "Perhaps, but this isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about building something new." 2 weeks later, Hariri led a strike team through the turbulent atmosphere of Hydra. Their shuttle, equipped with the latest biologically grown cloaking technology developed by the Nithari, descended toward the planet's vast oceans. "Axoni patrol ships detected," reported the pilot, a young woman named Kai, maintaining minimum altitude to avoid detection. Through the viewports, Hariri saw the endless blue of Hydra's oceans, broken occasionally by the artificial structures of Axoni outposts. Somewhere beneath those waves lived the Murisk, potential allies in the rebellion's greatest gambit yet. "Prepare for submersion," Hariri ordered as the shuttle approached the water surface, and broadcast the contact sequence. The shuttle transformed as it touched the water, outer panels shifting to create a hydrodynamic shape. As it sank beneath the waves, it began broadcasting a series of carefully modulated tones, a message of peace and alliance, composed by Wei and translated by Nithari linguists into what they believed was the Murisk language. For several tense minutes, there was no response. Then, suddenly, the water around them came alive with sound, complex, beautiful harmonies that resonated through the shuttle's hull. "They're responding," Kai whispered in awe. Hariri smiled grimly. "Now we'll see if they're willing to fight for their freedom." The shuttle descended deeper into the alien ocean, guided by the increasingly complex song of a species that had suffered under Axoni rule for generations. If they could forge an alliance with the Murisk, the rebellion would gain not just fighters but a powerful new weapon in their sonic arsenal. Above them, unaware of the diplomatic mission unfolding below, Axoni ships raced toward the diversionary attack on Hydra's moon, falling perfectly into the trap Hariri had set. The gathering storm was about to break. The rebellion fleet emerged from lightspeed at the edge of the Axoni home system, a massive armada comprising ships from a dozen different species, united under a single purpose. At its heart flew the Defiance, a reconstructed human battleship commanded by Lieutenant Hariri, now Admiral of the Rebellion forces. "All ships reporting in," Captain Asha announced from her tactical station. "Murisk sonic vessels in position. Nithari biological ships have deployed their cloaking spores." Hariri studied the tactical display. The Axoni home planet glowed ominously ahead, surrounded by layer upon layer of defense platforms, minefields, and battle stations. It was the most heavily fortified world in the known galaxy. "Begin broadcasting the Murisk war song," Hariri ordered. Throughout the fleet, the aquatic Murisk, liberated from generations of slavery, began their eerie, powerful song. The sound traveled through specially designed amplifiers, aimed directly at the Axoni defenses. On the tactical display, Hariri watched as the first layer of Axoni shields began to fluctuate. "Their response is immediate," Asha reported. "Multiple battle groups breaking formation to intercept." Just as anticipated, the Axoni, despite years of defeats, still responded to threats with textbook precision. Their tactical algorithms couldn't conceive of an attack on their homeworld as anything but a full-scale invasion. "All ships, execute Phase 2, Hariri commanded. The rebellion fleet scattered in a pre-planned maneuver, drawing the Axoni forces into pursuit. Meanwhile, a single, nondescript transport ship broke away, activating its advanced Nithari cloaking system as it accelerated toward the Axoni planet. Aboard the transport, Hariri checked his equipment one final time. Around him, representatives from 7 allied species prepared for what might be a suicide mission. "The diversion is working," reported Y over the comm system. 97% of Axoni military assets are engaging our fleet." Hariri nodded grimly. "Monitor the fleet's status. If casualties exceed 30%, order a full retreat regardless of our mission status." "Understood," Y replied. "Good luck, old friend." The transport ship slipped through gaps in the Axoni defense grid, its biological cloaking rendering it virtually invisible to conventional sensors. As they approached the planet's surface, Kai, now one of the rebellion's most skilled pilots, navigated through automated defense systems with practiced precision. 5 minutes to touchdown, she announced. Security protocols as expected. Hariri turned to his diverse team. We all know the mission. Get in, locate the Axoni Ruling Council, and neutralize their command structure. Use the identification codes exactly as practiced. The transport landed in a secured zone near the central governmental complex, a massive structure of gleaming metal and crystalline towers. Using the stolen identification codes obtained through years of intelligence gathering, the infiltration team bypassed the initial security checkpoints. Motion sensors ahead warned Kvex, the Terechi's antennae twitching nervously. Pattern consistent with guard rotation. Hariri checked the schematic displayed on his wrist device. Alternative route through maintenance shaft 7B. The team moved efficiently through the complex, their progress aided by the fact that the Axoni had never experienced an infiltration of their homeworld. Their security was designed to repel external threats, not enemies already inside their defenses. 3 levels below the main council chamber, they encountered unexpected resistance, a squad of elite Axoni guards. In the ensuing firefight, 2 team members fell, but the remainder pushed forward, eventually reaching a sealed door labeled in Axoni script. This is it, Selmira confirmed, her translucent fingers working to decrypt the access panel. The stasis chambers. The door slid open, revealing rows of preservation pods, thousands of them, each containing a sentient being from various species. Hariri moved through the chamber, checking pod designations until he stopped abruptly before one in particular. The occupant was human, female, her features preserved in suspended animation. The identification tag read, Specimen 1782H. Reyes, Elena. Commander, Earth Defense Forces. Impossible, Hariri whispered, his hand touching the cold surface of the pod. She died at Jupiter. I saw the Defiant explode. Life signs stable, Selmira reported, examining the pod's control systems. She's been in stasis for 10 years. Hariri's shock gave way to determination. Get her out. Now. While the team worked to safely revive Reyes, the battle raged in space above them. The rebellion fleet was holding its own, but casualties mounted with every passing minute. We need to move, Kvex urged. The council chamber is 2 levels up. Reyes' vital signs stabilized as the stasis field deactivated. Her eyes fluttered open, confusion giving way to recognition as she saw Hariri's face. Lieutenant, she murmured, her voice weak from years of disuse. How? It's Admiral now, Hariri replied with a faint smile. And I believe we're about to storm the Axoni Ruling Council. Care to join us, Commander? Despite her weakened state, determination flashed in Reyes' eyes. Brief me on the way.